What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Shots from the Winchester Podcast, brought to you by Greencastle Consulting. I'm your host, Al Green, and today we're talking to Ryan Clements. So you were a GACer, and then you came back to Greencastle. You're also Army Ranger, or what would you say that's former?
Ranger for life, baby.
Ranger for life.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
get it.
Get that tab. It's
That's
on.
it. That's what's up.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, and you got a lot of other good things, good qualities about you too. So we're going to get into that. Let's talk real quick about your military career. But before we do that, we have a shot of tequila we're going to do.
Rock and roll.
This, well, it's like afternoon now. It's almost, it's like
we're getting there.
lunchtime. Yeah,
We'll count it. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. It's a little
work with
lunchtime. So we're going to rock out with this shot of tequila. What kind is this?
It's a Blanco.
De Blanco?
Blanco is
It's
a type
Mexican tequila? I guess they're all Mexican tequilas, right?
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
The bottle's cool.
All right, so we're going to jump in on this.
Cheers.
So cheers.
Cool.
Ooh. Yeah.
Cool shot glasses too.
I know. I love this. So we have these at Shots from the Winchester. There's a bullet going through the glass, as you see. It's not a real bullet, but you know what I mean. But that's your little handle. So those are branded for Greencastle here at the bar at Winchester. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's talk about your military career. So you started out in the Army. You were in the Army. You also did a tour in Iraq. Yeah, tell us what made you get into the service in the first place?
Great question. My grandfather was career Air Force.
Oh.
So I always grew up listening to stories from him about his experience with it. And my close friend group growing up at home, I was friends with them all through my childhood, through high school and undergrad. At some point, they had all served. And I slowly became the only one that had not served.
Yeah.
And about a year after I graduated undergrad, I was kind of looking around at the job opportunities that were available to me. And I was like, all of these are fine. Most of them are like state trooper, going to police academy. But I was thinking, I've lived my entire life in upstate New York, and I could take one of these jobs and I'll remain in the state of New York. But a great outlet that'll kind of appease the different desires that I have in my life at the time, I was 24, was just go through officer candidate school and become a lieutenant in the Army. So that's the route that I went. In January 2015, I got in, knocked out basic training. I was a 24-year-old guy in basic, which is a little bit older for that spectrum. So I immediately became the platoon guide, and drill sergeants would just task me out to any given thing that they did not want to do, which usually consisted of trying to keep guys in bed or keep guys awake on a ruck march or something like that.
I recognize that too. That happened to me. Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you taking a leadership charge. Plus, you recognize that people recognize you as a leadership position. So that's also kind of like, that's also grateful. I think in that respect.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Getting that early is really helpful.
Yeah.
Because I think basic was only 10 weeks, but starting to feel that leadership quality early. Everyone talks about it. Like when you're going to be a great leader, you're a natural leader, and you don't really know what that means until you're actually under the gun and doing it in like pressure situations. And basic's not like high pressure, but it feels like it at the time.
Yeah.
So after that, I completed officer candidate school, IBOLIC. Those were both at Fort Benning. And then I went into Ranger school, and you have two opportunities to recycle for the same purpose. In Ranger school, it can be you either fail your patrols or you fail one of the PT events. And I went through Derby phase with my squad, and I thought I was going to crush Ranger school.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be too easy. I'm completely prepared for it. I'm all amped up for it.
Yeah.
And I failed my patrols in Derby phase back to back.
Oh.
So I recycled, came back for a second phase, and then I failed them again.
Oh, wow. Oh, no.
It was like, any given reason, guys were falling asleep on security.
Yeah.
But I took that. That was the first real failure that I experienced in the Army, at least. and I had like directed all my life towards this one goal: get my Ranger tab, go get on a deployment, go down range, and I had to really like reach out to my mentors and reevaluate what I was doing. And it's not like anything was going drastically wrong. It's just like, hey, it's not going to pan out right now. So I PCS'd to Fort Polk, Louisiana, walked in, told my commander I need to go right back to Major School as soon as possible. There's like a 2 or 3 month phase, like in a standby period, but went back, went straight through and graduated.
Nice.
And then I came back to my unit. We were gearing up for deployment to Iraq. This would be late 2016. So we went through a JRTC rotation at the mighty Fort Polk in Leesville, Louisiana. But yeah, we had a really good deployment. Got to travel all around Iraq. Went to every border.
Nice.
And then I came back after deployment was complete. And I kind of realized I had checked off all the blocks that I wanted to, at least at that point in the Army. And started thinking about getting out. Wanted to put this post 9/11 job bill to use, so I got out of the Army and I went into my MBA program at Simon Business School in Rochester, New York.
Nice.
Met a lot of great people there, and then eventually segued nicely into how I ended up. Well, the first part of how I ended up here at GAC.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, when you were leaving the military, did you have a plan? Did you know what you wanted to do?
I definitely had a game plan.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, my game plan probably at that point, to be honest, went as far as like apply to a ton of business programs, and we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah. Or you were gung ho about business.
Yeah.
You were just. So were you thinking you wanted to run a business or be a part of a business?
Yeah.
Run a business.
I mean, I still play with that idea a lot now. I haven't executed on it. I have a couple ideas of just things that I enjoy doing that I'd like to have them make me money. So I can lead that venture. But when I was getting out, I had this. Actually, when I was getting out, I had a lot of friends that were working on Wall Street at the time, and I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go make $250,000 a year and crush it. And then I found out what that lifestyle and what 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week really looks like. And I was like, I'm not actually interested in doing that. I'd like to get away from
a lot of energy in that. So,
I ended up going to the Veterans Conference, which was in Chicago. It's a wild story how these connections actually work. It was a guy from the alumni program that linked me up with a gentleman named Joe Witt. And I think Joe Witt was in Baltimore at the time. And Joe Witt linked me up with Joe Crandell.
Oh, so CEO of Greencastle.
And had a half-hour conversation with Joe Crandell on the phone, went through the interview process. And then while I was in grad school, I was interning at Greencastle, working for John Clack, doing podcasts. Business development.
Yeah, this podcast. Actually, this one. So you were doing some editing as well. Yeah. So you did like some of the original videos for the podcast, and like John was hosting and stuff like that. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's what a 360 on that too.
I know.
Now you're on it.
Because I've always wanted to be on it. So now we're here.
Now we're here. Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. So, and I know you had a wild kind of like story where you were here, then you left, and you came back. Like, tell us a little bit about what happened there, in your journey back to GAC.
Yeah. I love that question.
Yeah.
So during the internship, I always really enjoyed being here. I met a ton of awesome guys, and but the initial bug that had been put in my ear at the Veterans Conference, I always stayed in touch with those guys. They reached back out to me when they knew I was going to graduate, gave me a huge offer. Went down to Atlanta, Georgia, worked for them for a while, and totally different culture than Greencastle, which is something I didn't really anticipate. For some reason in my head I was like, GAC is the first job that I had out of the Army in a corporate sense. And I kind of assumed that, I was like, this giant Fortune 500 company can't be that much different than GAC.
Right.
Completely different. And very bureaucratic. A lot of people, a lot of good leaders coming and going all the time. And I was like, this is just we don't execute the same. It's like a sluggish decision-making process.
Yeah.
It's very like who's who. And I was so used to just working on a objective-based, performance-based, basis of trust. Where like, hey, we can go reach out and get things done, and not have to worry about what the repercussions of some of my own peers are going to be. Which is unfortunately what that kind of turned into.
Yeah.
Which I did not anticipate. So I reached back out to Greencastle and I was like, listen,
Yeah.
get me back in the game.
Yeah.
This has been a good experience. I definitely grew a lot from it. I took a ton of lessons from it.
Yeah.
And I think it definitely made me better in my performance now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a wild thing how Greencastle works, because I was able to, left on good terms, and I had a very warm exit from everyone. They're like, hey, in the future down the road, if anything comes up, the door's always open.
That's awesome.
So I just reached back out, and everyone was like, yeah, get yourself back up here.
Back in here.
Let's do it.
You're like, put me back in the game, coach. It's like, let's play ball. Because honestly, like when I first started at Greencastle, I didn't know a lot about what goes on here. Once I got here, learning about like process improvement, change management, project management, all those things that are so important to other businesses being able to function properly, and to see the intelligence and the work ethic of the people here, it gives you a false impression of what other like more civilian. I mean, this is a civilian, kind of business, but everyone here is a veteran. Everyone here has had some military experience. They know how to get shit done, and that's a little different from the civilian world, where if no one's been in the military before, they're only informed by the energy that they have around them. And some of those decision-making skills that they have aren't so baked in discipline, So you lose a lot of that. So when you come to a place like this, you're like, oh man, people are getting their stuff done. I'm getting emails back. People are like on top of things. They're getting back to you inside of like the hour, if not, within a 24-hour frame. That's all reliable stuff, You get out in the world here, and you just don't recognize that. And I think a lot of people coming out of the military don't recognize that the civilian world's it's like a different animal. And especially if you've never worked in the civilian world before, and then you come out and then you're like, okay, here I am now. And no, it's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same. And you learn quickly. So no, it's a good look. And glad to have you back.
Very refreshing to be back.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
It's nice when things just click and make sense. And
yeah.
it doesn't matter if you walk into a project and you don't know anybody, but the members on your team, you're going to be speaking the same language.
Yeah. So everybody's all right on the same page. Yeah. What is your position here? What do you do here?
So I'm a budget controller.
Nice.
Here. So that's mainly just forecasting and getting the books down for a project. And it's a giant client that we have, and I'm relatively new to this role, but definitely very excited to be in it and taking a lot of notes. I have an awesome team, so I've been able to get spun up pretty quickly with it.
That's good stuff. Now, you were an officer in the Army before, so you've had some direct reports under you working with stuff. Give us some leadership tips, some things that you might think are important for an audience out here who are either a lot of people are probably still in the service right now, or they're out of the service, or they have never been in the service, but they're in leadership in some way. So I always like to leave people with some kind of like leadership tip.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite quotes that I apply to, you can really apply it to anything. I love to apply it to work and just leadership in general, is success isn't owned, it's leased, and you pay rent every single day. So I know it's easy to, like for example, Ranger School, or you come back from deployment, you're done, you think that, okay, I've like checked this block, but it's actually something that you're gonna continue to earn every single day. And that's something that's always said in Ranger School, is you earn your tab every single day. You don't just get it and then you're done.
Nice.
So I keep that in mind with the sense that if I don't earn this every day, someone else is going to come and take it. So every day that I don't put my 100% out, that I'm not thinking about the people up and down the chain of command and how it can positively influence them, someone else is going to come in and someone else is going to do that.
Yeah.
And that thought will kind of drive you forward, but it's also like a self-motivator for your own accomplishment. Like, I can do this, and this is part of my life, part of my lifestyle, and how I'm going to give back to the community around me and lift everybody up. It's not just about me and my accomplishments, which is part of the reason I love GAC and the teams that we are on here, is that I'm going to lift the entire team up, and we're all one here. So
yeah, that's a good look. So just as a reminder, you better give 100%, or somebody else is going to take your job. And they can. So yeah, definitely stay up on your dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure you're doing the best that you can do. Yeah.
And be curious too. Like, don't be another line that I always have is be unabashedly curious about whatever your interests are, whatever your goals are. Like, in the same way that you need to be putting forth 100% and thinking about how you can help the others around you. You're not going to know everything.
Yeah.
And you don't. And I mean, it's even worse if you pretend to know everything, because everyone's going to be able to see it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
ask the relevant questions and continue to drive forward.
Yeah. That's good stuff. That's good advice. Very good advice. Yeah. Did you have any experiences while you were in that maybe were moments? I know I'm throwing something random at you at this moment, but any experiences while you were in the Army with direct reports that might stick out in your head, like
I think oh wow, I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
I had some really awesome NCOs when I was a PL, and I had Staff Sergeant Henderson. He was my platoon sergeant when I was a PL.
Yeah.
And I can remember I needed some help in the middle of the night. Like, I think something was going on with one of our Joes, and another lieutenant from a different battalion called me, was like, "Hey, this guy's in trouble." So normally what I would always do if I need something is call Staff Sergeant Henderson.
Yeah.
And it was the first experience that I had of, like, literally, people say, "Oh, you can call me at any time. Anytime you need anything, just call me."
Yeah.
It was the first time I think we were a couple months deep in, like, the relationship that we had of working together. And I called him in the middle of the night, and I was like, "Hey, this is going on with this guy, he got a DUI, or something's going on."
Yeah.
And he was just immediately on point. And I saw how his reaction was, and I was like, okay, that's a guy that I can really trust.
Yeah.
And then for my commander, whenever he needed anything, I was like, that's the same way that I'm going to be towards him.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, being a PL and the relationship between a PL and a commander, you need to understand that you're subordinate to him, but you also want to show him that, like, I'm the best guy here.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you weren't here, I could do your job. But you don't want to, like, overstep bounds. There's a healthy working relationship there.
Right.
But I remember, like, calling him, and the reaction that he gave me is, he's like, "All right, where is he? What's going on? Where are you? I'm gonna come grab you. We're gonna go get him."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
Nice.
I can trust this guy. This is how these things work. And that carried out really throughout my entire Army career. Whenever I had questions about the NCO Corps, or how to handle a certain relationship, or an objective I was trying to hit, I knew I could call him, and I still do call him sometimes just to chat.
Oh, that's cool.
Just to chat now.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's cool. So you got a good mentor out of him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for people like that, you want to give the same back to them. You want to be like, hey. Not that it was a favor or anything like that, because it wasn't. But like, if for any part of the working relationship when we were together, we were always hand in hand. But then beyond that, I mean, it's paid off tenfold. I've learned so much from him.
Oh, that's great.
And then you want to give the back same to them as well.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to have somebody that you can think that you can reach out to who's on point like that. Yeah. Like, I had a guy, I had a friend, or I still have a friend. My clutch cable broke in my car, And I had one of those old Volkswagen, was it a Volkswagen Golf, 4-door hatchback car, maybe 1990, car, and I was driving clutch cable brakes, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like 20 minutes from the house, that's like an hour walk though, because of how I would have had to go, because I'm like on 95, like I-95, it's like, this is terrible. I call a friend of mine, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and he gets up, he comes out,
Let's
and he
go.
goes out there in his pickup truck, picks me up, takes me back to the house. I got the clutch cable, everything back, took me back to the car later that afternoon, everything. I mean, like,
huge.
Having people in your life that you can depend on and trust makes me want to be a better person.
Right.
Makes me want to be a stronger, more trustful person, because like
it compounds on each other.
Exactly. Now, whenever somebody calls me, because of that experience, I'm out. I'm out the door. I don't care what time it is in the morning. I'm out the door.
Like, I don't even need to know all the details. Just tell me where you're at. I can get this knocked out.
I'm here for you. Yeah. Definitely having a good core, strong system of people that got your back. That's good to know. That's good to feel.
It's something that I think it's kind of overlooked, because in a lot of people that I served with, that's a value like that. Hey, I can be there. You let me know. And you want to be there for other people. Yeah. And you want to let everyone know you can depend on them. But then at the same time, everyone's hesitant to reach out for help when you actually really need it. So it's kind of inverted.
Yeah.
And once you get comfortable, like knowing, hey, it's okay if you got to take a knee for a little while.
Right.
In any kind of area of your life.
Right.
And you do have people that you can reach out to and call.
Yeah.
And you don't have to shoulder everything on your own. It's not going to make you look weak.
Right.
It's actually the people around you need you on your feet.
Right.
So if you reach out for help, you can get back there more quickly.
Yeah. And there is that where you feel kind of like ashamed to speak up for like what you feel should be a strength that you own. But we can't be Superman all the time. We have to sort out our emotions. We have to deal with, because like not every day are you dealing with like, oh man, I've had an argument with your wife that night, or husband, or whoever, and now you're you're having to go through your day at the same time, but you now you have all this baggage, so like mental health is really important, and having people around you that can help you is really important, especially like in veterans, especially combat veterans. They've seen a lot, they've done a lot, you've been through a lot, and you want to have that support system to maintain your health, your mental health. You want to be happy, you want to keep functioning, and so it's always important to have those systems in place. And if you don't have anybody that's near you, family wise or friends or anything like that, find a group or anything like that. Sometimes Facebook groups are okay for that kind of stuff, but like it's good to have people meet face to face. Have that real spiritual kind of like connection with each other. So if you're out there and you're dealing with that, especially depression, anything like that,
definitely
look for a group, look for people. Call a friend, anything like that. It's always a good look.
It's a vital part of life.
Very much.
It gets overlooked, but it'll elevate your entire life. And don't ever feel like you're not someone that is above help or is unable to be helped, because everyone is going to need it at some point.
And don't look at help as weakness, because honestly, like you learned from not knowing in the first place, and what you don't know, you learn. So like everything you know now, you had to learn. So there was a point where you didn't understand something, and now you do. And so it's the same thing. So what? You maybe have to, like you said, take a knee. Somebody's there to lift you up. Somebody's there to help you understand, okay, this happens. I've gone through that too. And it's important to know that if you're around people that they've gone through those situations as well. So you're not feeling alone, because you can quickly feel alone. Like,
Right.
when something happens, because you're only dealing with everything inside in your mind and whatever else, and you're not externally talking about it. But the moment you say something, the moment you talk to somebody that you feel comfortable with about something, then they say, "Oh God, yeah, I did that too. That happened to me." And then everything just opens up. The whole flower blooms, and you're like, "Oh, thank God, I'm not the only person
I feel it,
dealing with this."
Like, I literally thought I was alone out here.
Yeah.
It's like, now everyone's going through something.
Everyone's going through something.
Or has gone through.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. This is a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, for sure. And again, I'm waiting for my invitation in the mail for the smoker.
Let's do it. Do a little grilling. I'd love to.
Ryan Clement, I will talk to you again.
Thanks so much.
Guys, make sure you like and subscribe to Shots from the Winchester. We're on YouTube. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Join us for the next episode. Talk to you soon.